What's up, man? It's your big brother K-Rino, and sorry I'm a little late. But the beautiful thing about me being late is that at 9:20, I'm still way earlier than I normally am. So I'm still apologizing for being late because you got to try to work your best to be on time, to be prompt. And I'm like one of the worst people in the world at that. As far as being on time and all that, I'm like one of the worst. I'm almost, I ain't the GOAT of being late, but I might be on the Mount Rushmore, man. So I want to welcome y'all in tonight. Please do your big brother a favor, and as you come into the house, click that like button, man. Treat that like button as if you are walking to somebody's home, and you got to wipe your feet on the mat as you come in. You treat that like button like that, like that. Always hit the like button when y'all come in. Um, and we're gonna get right into it. I don't want to be a long time because I got a busy night ahead of me, but I definitely been having this on my mind to talk about for a minute, But as I was just doing a little research of my own, and I'm still learning a lot about this because, as y'all know, I'm one of those guys who I came from way, 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 way back in the days, So I've watched music transition into what it is now. I watched the industry transform from what it was when, I'm old enough to remember 8 tracks all the way, of course, to vinyl, which has been around forever, and back when it was wax, up into cassette tapes, up into CDs, into the digital age. And the one constant that we've always seen from just the different stages of the music business, no matter what form music is sold in, the one thing that has always remained constant is that the record labels are going to make the majority of the revenue. That's the one thing that has never, ever changed, and it probably will never change unless we just decide one day as artists to take our destiny into our own hands and start doing all of the things that they do and start to learn and do it for ourselves. And notice I didn't say all the things they do for us because they really don't do much for us. They have the platforms. They have been afforded the platforms to distribute the music, to get the music out on a big scale. But the majority of the work, the majority of the grind and all of the creativity and the talent, that's on the artists. They have capitalized on our lack of knowledge, our lack of understanding. They've capitalized on our ignorance in terms of how this thing works and how we can make it work for us. So we look at what they do, what they provide, and we view that as being something that's so great, so monumental. When in reality, if we had the means to do this stuff ourselves, we should absolutely be found doing it. So we're gonna go in on them. We're gonna go in on them tonight because there's some things that we gotta expose. There's some things that we gotta put on Front Street to kind of make those who may not know how this operates. We gotta make them know that, say, man, this is not right. This is robbery. That's why I use that word robbery in the description because, man, artists are getting robbed out here, man. I mean, you talk about somebody getting a chain snatched. You talk about somebody getting jacked for some rims. That's bad, but that the robbery doesn't compare on any level to what the actual music business is doing to these artists. And I'm gonna give y'all some numbers that I have compiled to back up everything that I'm saying, so y'all can get a full understanding of how severe this whole thing is. Now, I want y'all to picture like a pie chart in your mind. I don't have I just told y'all I'm still learning, so I don't have the ability to put up displays and presentations and all. I don't know how to do all that. But I want you to visualize in your mind a pie chart. And that pie chart consists of four parts. Four parts, which are the four entities that I'm going to get ready to explain to y'all. That circular chart, you have you have physical record sales, physical copies of records. A physical copy, as we all know, that's a CD. That's the actual. And I can give a visual on that. That's an actual CD. This is what's called a physical copy, as y'all know, because you can physically hold it. You can physically insert it into a CD player. You can touch it. You can feel it. That's what that is. This also applies to vinyl. And back in the days, it also applied to cassette tapes. And like I mentioned earlier, it applied to 8 tracks. Anything that you can physically hold that plays the music is a physical copy. Okay, now the second part of that pie is downloads, which we moved into this era where you have downloading is like a major thing. You can go to iTunes and the things that us artists send y'all to go purchase our music on. You can get it from iTunes. You can get it from all of the, you can download the actual album from that platform, from the iTunes platform, and you're basically buying this, but it's only something that you're hearing, not something that you're actually touching. So the downloads may cost you $9.99, $10 to purchase a download for the album. The third part of this pie is streaming. Streaming is when you see, like you see on this on the thumbnail that I got up with all those different companies. When you see like Spotify, you see like Amazon and Pandora and all those different companies that specialize in actually streaming the music, where fans and listeners, they may subscribe to one of those streaming companies at a monthly fee, a monthly subscription fee, and that allows them to stream whatever artist they want to stream. They may pay $9, $10 a month to stream as much as they want to stream. And these companies, the streaming companies, they may have millions and millions and millions of monthly paying subscribers. So I'm just taking y'all down the little hole. The fourth part of that pie is something called sync licensing, which I wasn't familiar with till a few weeks ago. I wasn't familiar with the term, but once I found out what it was, I was like, oh, okay, that's what it is. Sync licensing is basically just when an artist gives permission, to an entity to use a particular song or to use a portion of that song for that company's use. Like if they have a movie and we want to play your song in this movie for 25 seconds, we want to play a piece of that. Or we got a TV commercial, we want to play a piece of that. Or we got a video game, we want to play your song during this video game. Then you, the artist, may reach an agreement with the company that wants your song, and y'all will make a deal and say, man, I'm gonna charge you this to use my song, and then y'all can negotiate whether it's gonna be exclusive rights, non-exclusive rights, and all of the little details in that. So those are the four parts, you guys: streaming, downloading, physical copies, and sync licensing. What do these four things represent? And y'all follow me. I know this might not even be interesting to y'all, but there's some artists probably that'll see this later that need to know that. What do these four parts represent? These four parts represent the four ways that revenue is generated in the music industry outside of merchandise. I didn't put that in the pie. But it's the four ways that revenue is generated, and it's the four ways that artists get paid, right, in this particular pie. Now, the one thing that I didn't mention that I'm getting ready to mention right now is the breakdown of those four parts, the percentage that each one of those parts represent. Sync licensing, the part that I just mentioned earlier, the last part where I talked about, I ain't gonna go over it, but y'all gotta be paying attention. Sync licensing only represents 2% of artist revenue. Artists only make 2% total revenue from sync licensing. That's the smallest percentage. Downloads, which I was surprised to see this percentage. Artists only make, well, the industry only makes about 8%. Artists only make about 8% off of downloads. So that's tough. Now, all this information is according to the RIAA, which is the Recording Industry Association of America. So they're like officially the doctrine of, what happens in the industry. So this is according to their reports. 8% comes from download. Physical copies, only 10% money is generated from physical copies. That means CDs and all that, it's not selling like that no more. So now do the math. I've said 10% on physical copies, 8% on downloads, 2% on sync licensing. Those three total out to 20%. Guess what the other 80% is from? It's from the fourth part. It's from streaming. 80% of the revenue generated in the music industry nowadays comes from streaming. 80%. So the Spotify's of the world, the Pandora's of the world, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, all these different streaming companies account for 80% of the money because most people are streaming now. A lot of people, they make vehicles now that don't even have CD players in them no more. Only way you got a CD player in your car now is if you bought a car that was made when they were still putting the CD player. These days, something new comes out, it's pretty much not going to have a CD player in unless you got some kind of special situation or they just happen to include it. So what's my point of mentioning this? The point of me mentioning the 80% that's generated by streaming is very significant and important simply because that 80%, just a percentage of it, it represents tens of billions with a B, tens of billions of dollars that is generated by the record industry. So they make tens of billions of dollars off of streaming every year. This is the annual bring in. And when you break it down in certain forms, to different levels, when you just break it down to smaller components, the total is outlandish enough, but the breakdown really trips you out. The labels make about $1 million per hour off of streaming. This is what I saw somewhere. They make about $1 million an hour. It comes out to be about $24 million a day. $24 million per day generated off of streaming, right? Now there are three big labels, the three big boys. A lot of labels, but the main three that eat very well off of streaming are, let me look at my notes. Those three are Sony Music Group, Universal Music Group, and Warner Music Group. So You have Universal that brings in about $1 billion per year off of streaming. You have Sony, who the last report I saw was making about 670 million, close to 700 million per year off of streaming. Then you got Warner bringing in close to 600 million a year off of streaming. Those numbers may have been updated and changed, but not, if they have changed, they haven't changed by much. So you're talking about $2 billion. No, this report was based on 1 quarter. I'm sorry. 1 quarter of a particular calendar year. Quarter is like 3 months, the first quarter, 6 months makes up the second quarter, third quarter is 9, then the last 3 months, that fourth quarter, that makes up the 12. That's just what they made in one particular quarter in one calendar year, not the total. Now, all this is being said because the question has to come to the most unknowledgeable person about the music industry that you can come across, a person who doesn't know any of this, a person who's just like, okay, I just like to listen to music. I don't know the intricacies of all this. When you hear these numbers, the first question that a person would just ask through human nature would be, well, how much of that does the artist get? How much of that do they pay the artist? And if you knew, if somebody told somebody who didn't know any of this information, they would think you was lying. They would call you a flat out liar. Because literally, recording artists make pennies per stream. Crumbs broke off of crumbs per stream. That's what the artists make. That's what the labels and the streaming companies toss out to the very people who create the music. Now think about that. Think about on that level. You are the creator of this product. You sat down and you generated these thoughts out of your own mind. You generated these ideas and these concepts. You came up with these melodies. You wrote these bars. You wrote these hooks. You wrote these songs. And people all around the world fell in love with this music. And it's not just one artist, it's millions of artists. You do all that, then turn over that work to these entities, right? And in turn, they pay you microscopic amounts of revenue off of your work. This is the true definition of robbery. This is financial rape, if anything. This is the most outlandish and disrespectful process, one of the most disrespectful processes that you can endure in any business setting where you have individuals generating this much revenue. That would be like an NBA player. That would be like players in the NBA making $500 a month to play in the NBA. And the NBA is generating billions and billions of dollars a year in revenue, not to mention advertising money, which these streaming companies also benefit from. They benefit from ad money as well, because people want to advertise on their platforms and things of that nature. So some of the breakdowns go like this. We may see an artist on our social media platforms, and they may have a banner or a poster that commemorates how many streams that their project have accumulated. So you may see an artist that says he may have a Spotify thing and say, man, 1 million streams. That's great. It's a beautiful thing. It's a respectable thing if you receive 1 million streams. Now, 1 million streams is not to be confused with 1 million sales. Make that understood and make that clear to y'all. You say, man, my album got 1 million streams. To the layman, to the person who just don't know no better, and even to some artists, we may not understand it. We may think, whoa, 1 million streams, man, that's like he went platinum. No, he didn't go platinum. You received 1 million streams. It's like YouTube. A video could have 1 million views. That doesn't mean 1 million individual different people viewed it, because you may have watched it 100 times because you love the song or you love the video. Somebody else may have watched it 80 times, 50 times. Those 1 million views may be divided among 30 or 40,000 different people. So that's kind of how we view with the stream. That's a way to look at with the streams. So it's not 1 million sales. Now, if you get 1 million downloads, then that would represent 1 million. Or if you sell 1 million physical copies, okay, now you went platinum. But 1 million streams, when they're paying you pennies on the dollar, well, no, when they're paying you pennies per stream, the math varies depending on which companies and who you're dealing with or whatever. You know, I've heard people say that they do a little better on their streaming than other people. But for the most part, the language is out there, or the information is out there, that 1 million streams gets you about $35,000 in revenue. Now think about that. $35,000 for 1 million streams. Now you might say, man, 35,000, that ain't bad. That's pretty good, you know, because people work on jobs and they might make $35,000, $40,000 a year, and they breaking their back to do it. They busting their hump to make that 35,000. So if I could do that, then cool, not bad. Okay, but you have to always keep in mind to factor in two things: what you are receiving per stream and how small that is, and what the companies are getting. Then you don't view it the same, because you're going to look at it through a different lens. You're going to look at it from a lens of extreme disparity. You're like, wait a minute. What if you went out to do something with another individual? It was you and that individual, and y'all went out to do something and a job, and you did all of the work. You was just grinding hard, just working like a dog, doing all of the work, blood, sweat, and tears, and they kind of just Cadillac and sat around. And then when the money came in, the money was given to the person you came with, and it was $200. And they say, hey man, here's $1.50 for you. I'm gonna keep the other $198.50. You would look at that totally different. You're like, wait a minute, why do you get so much and I get so little, and I'm the one who's doing all the work? This is how this whole streaming game is working. And Dollar Bill, I saw your comment. I'm gonna come back and touch on that too, because you just hit me with another good one too. So 1 million streams, they saying in some circles $35,000 a year. 35,000 for 1 million streams, I'm sorry. But their numbers lower than that. Way lower. Numbers that are in, like, I saw one that said 300,000 streams will get you $1,400. So if you double that, 600,000 streams will get you 28. If you triple that, 900,000 streams puts you at around $4,000, which a little bit over $4,000, which is insane. So you right at that same million streams and you making about $4,000. That's insane. But the companies are making the killing. So now you go to the individual companies. You got Spotify, which is owned by a dude named Daniel Ek, E-K, Daniel Ek. According to what I read, y'all can fact check me and see if it's accurate. Spotify made about $9 billion last year, the year 2021. They have 170 million paying users, paying subscribers. I saw where they're giving artists like 9 cents per stream. That's insane, man. That's insane. Apple Music supposedly made about 4 billion in 2020. I couldn't find 2021. Dollar Bill said you may get that with Tidal. What, the 35? 35 seemed kind of high when you think about the average compared to what's the norm. It ain't high at all. Then you got Tidal, then you got Pandora. All these companies, man, ran by these talentless guys who had an inside lane, or they had some money to get it started. They had the connections. Think about that. And all we doing as artists is generating the revenue for them, the creative push. We are responsible for the creativity and originality of the music, and the music that people are listening to and loving. And they see, you can't blame the people, because the people are going to gravitate towards whatever is the most convenient for them. The people going to gravitate towards whatever is convenient for them. So if it's easier for them to just, hey man, I give me a Spotify subscription per month, I just pay this flat fee a month, I can still get all of these same albums that I would have paid $10, $15 for per. I can still hear all that. I mean, they made it to where it's hard on the artist. The game is kind of tough on the artist. But the people gonna do what they gonna do. Just imagine if they came out tomorrow and said, well, you know what, hey man, we coming up with this thing called the grocery store subscription, where all you gotta do is pay $50 a month, and you can just go to any grocery store you want to and shop and get food. People gonna do that. We got an OG salute to do real quick, man. You know how I go. And this one here is super special. We got the one, the only, the psychopath himself. The great Gangsta Nip is in the chat, man. Y'all need to salute Gangsta Nip like right this second, man. Peace signs, power fist, salutes, 100s, none but love to the psychopath himself. Brother Nip, Gangsta Nip, every nip you could think of. The little nips that you eat, the little nips in a box, of cheese nip. He's all them nips. OG salute to the one and only Gangsta Nip, man. My brother, man. When I say my brother, I mean like my brother. You know, when you've been knowing somebody over 30 years, y'all done lived under the same roof together, been broke together, struggled together, been hungry together. That's your brother. We grew up together. Show some love to my brother Gangsta Nip, man. Everybody that's in the chat. So what we have is a crossroads where we at. We at a crossroads. Because as artists, we got to make, this is forcing us to have to make a decision we got to figure out, because we all involve ourselves in these entities. Nobody is exempt. I don't care how woke you are. I don't care how knowledgeable you are of the business. I don't care how big of an understanding that you have of how deceptive that the labels are, and all of us are still like, hey, when my album drops, it's gonna be on Spotify, it's gonna be on iTunes. We gonna shout out them same entities every time, because this is what we do for a living. But in the meantime, we're being robbed. We're being financially raped. We're being robbed. There has been talks of trying to take this thing all the way up to court some kind of way to fight for more revenue for the artists, because record labels have been robbing and cheating artists for years. And it's always been an extreme imbalance. But this streaming imbalance, which again, like I said, remember the pie chart, streaming represents 80% of the revenue. 80%. So this is the majority chunk. So it's always been an imbalance, but this digital imbalance that we're looking at right now, it's on another level. Tens of billions of dollars a year that the artists are seeing very little of. It don't matter if you a big time artist that's generating a lot of revenue. Don't even matter. You're not getting what you're supposed to get by a long shot. We know. Ice-T said it years ago. He said, look, man, when you come into the music business, the record label is the pimp and you the hoe. He says it's all about what kind of hoe you gonna be. You're gonna try to figure out a way to not get pimped out as much as possible. That's all you can do. But you gonna get pimped. But when it's this extreme, what can you do? See, if you go to the store, right? Just say you go to the store and you get in the store and you coming through the line, you coming through the cash register, and then all of a sudden they say, okay, that'll be $20.15. And then you pull out $20, but you don't have the 15. So you're like, oh man, I ain't got that 15. I ain't got no change. The dude might say, oh man, don't worry about it, man. Because you have come so close to the total at the 20, he'll let you make it with the 15. But if your total is $20.15 and you pull out a $5 bill, you say, oh man, he gonna run you out the store. You're not close enough. It's too much of a gap. This is what we're working with right now. The gap is too large, man. So the question is, what are we gonna do about it? We've been hearing about we got to build our own. We got to build our own. We got to build our own. Been saying it and hearing about it for years, but we refuse to do it. And you know why we refuse to do it? Because it's too hard. It's going to require some work, and it's going to take us out of a comfort zone that we used to being in. We used to being in this particular comfort zone where we let these devils just handle everything for us. Oh, they got it. For us to do that, it will require us to come out of this little box and actually do some work. Actually build something on our own. And in that process, we might have to suffer for a little while. We might have to take a loss for a little while. Because anytime something is being built from the ground up, it's going to be a struggle to get it going. Then you got to deal with the skepticism of other artists and other people who are going to tell you it ain't going to work. And it's a slave plantation mentality. Slaves that wanted to leave the plantation and other slaves that was like, oh, where we going to go? If we leave, how are we going to eat? And the slaves that's ready to rebel, they like, man, we just got to figure that out on the fly. But see, if we stay here, we at least gonna eat. Yeah, but they destroying you. They breaking your back every day. See, we got a roof over our head. If we run away, we might have to sleep outside for a few nights. Ain't nothing promised. But a person that's focused on freedom, hey man, they cross that road when they get to it. That's why a lot of people become institutionalized, where they more comfortable being locked up than they are out in the free world, because the free world represents some responsibility that you got to take on. You got to actually figure out a way to support yourself when you out in this free world. So I ain't gonna get up and go to no job every day. I ain't gonna get up and get out on the block and sell cologne and oils and spray. I ain't gonna hustle like that. I ain't gonna sell my CDs. I don't want to do all that. I don't need this woman in my ear. I don't need my mama telling me this, my daddy telling me this. I don't need the world looking at me telling me I'm sorry, I need to do something. It's better for me to be in jail. I got 3 hots in a cot. I got 3 hots in a cot. Boss gonna tell me when to get up and when to go out and do whatever it is I'm supposed to do. And then take that person. Some people actually rather live like that. And that's how we think in terms of our freedom on other levels. We think the same way. We rather let them handle that. Sign with a label. I'm gonna get signed with a label. They're gonna take care of me. They're not gonna take care of you. They're gonna take care of themselves. And they're gonna take care of their children. For generations off of your work. That's how it go. You can go back for as long as it's been a record industry, that's how it went down. And when you see a lot of the artists, particularly a lot of the black artists, they don't just die broke, because the normal narrative is, well, a lot of them die broke. Yeah, that's true. A lot of them do die broke. But guess what? A lot of them go broke before they die. They still living, still walking on 2 feet in good health and go broke. The only good side to that is that you got a chance to get it together while you still standing vertical. But it don't matter to them if you die broke or not. They're just gonna break you. So somebody said earlier in the comments, they said that's why you see a lot of artists branching off into different things to generate different money streams. So merchandising and some of the bigger name artists, they may luck up and get into movies or something like that. They got to try to do other things. Man, I need a clothing line. I need to do something different. I'm finna come out with me some hot sauce. They coming up with all kind of ideas because they have to balance off that income that music is not providing for them. They got to supplement that. So now you're looking at a situation where the labels even recognized that. They saw that and was like, how can we get in on that? We already making all this money off of sales, record sales. But this dude, he done came out with these shades. He got these shades, man, with his logo on it and his name on it, and everybody loving these shades. Now he making a killing. We got to figure out how to get some of that money too. So they come out with a 360 deal. This how greedy these cats is. So now 360 deal, that means before you even sign, you have already signed over the rights to everything that is associated with you and your brand, not just your records. They get a piece of that. And we want to sign so bad. We young, we trying to get up in there, you give it up. And we don't realize how damaging that is until later on. We don't realize how damaging it is until later on, because it's like going to the casino or going to a gambling spot. The house always wins. Y'all ever heard this term? The house always wins. You're gonna hit some licks here and there. You're gonna pull a slot down, and you're gonna every now and then they're gonna throw you a bone. You're like, ooh, I won $200 on the scratch off. I won $50 on the gambling machine last week. You're gonna hit a little blast every now and then, but the house always wins. You're not gonna never generate more. The Texas State Lottery, you're not gonna generate more than that. They're gonna give you that payout gonna come, but when they pay out that person who hit that lottery, okay, man, he hit for, it could be 200 million. That's not nowhere close to what the Texas State Lottery generated for themselves. That's not good business if they paying out more than what they bringing in. I can pay LeBron James $40, $50 million a year. And at the same time, I could pay Russell Westbrook $40 or $50 million a year. They on the same team. And I got other guys that's making 10. I got other guys making 8, 9, 15. I mean, all on the same team. I can pay that out what I'm making. How much I'm making. So how much are these labels making? And how did they get in? How did they slide in to the digital side of it? They got to jump on the digital aspect of the industry before we even clicked in to what needed to be done. Before we know it, we had already jumped in bed with them on that level, and they was already in control of it and remain to be in control of it. Let me see what y'all talking about, man. It's about that time. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna slide back. Man, we got Gangsta Nip up in here, man. Y'all don't understand. Didn't Jay-Z sell Tidal, Nip? Didn't he sell a portion of Tidal? I think he sold a portion of it. Dollar Bill says, look that up. There's a chart that shows what each streaming service pays per stream. And I bet it's so lightweight, man. At the same time, Spotify pay out big bucks to podcasters. Okay. Nip say streaming is most definitely slow. Something like whole money. Whole money is hardly no money. for the whole. Okay, thank you. Thank you. O0 is that's O01Q2W. Yeah, $3,500. I said 35,000. That was an error. 3,500. I was like, that don't even sound right. I misspoke. It's 3,500, and you can make as much as close to 5. That's on 1,000,000 streams. So I appreciate that correction. Ain't nowhere in the world they paying no 35,000 for 1,000,000 streams. That would still be lightweight. But people would be like, okay, I'll take that. But it still wouldn't be worthy. Right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for correcting me on that. I misspoke on that. Trickery, man. I see you, Battlefield. This is all, man, it's like sharecropping, bro. If y'all are familiar with post-slavery, when black folks were emancipated from the plantation and went into the world as free men and women, many black people had to come back to the plantation because it just was nothing else. They couldn't find nowhere to go. Like, man, I guess I'll just go back and work for massa. But this time when they went back, it was no obligation, and massa would pay them crumbs for the same work that they made $0 off of for generations. But they would also do this thing called sharecropping. Like when you had black people that were trying to get on their own, they would try to work their own little whatever they had. But if you didn't have tools and supplies, you would go to the massa and he would say, okay, well, I'll loan you some tools. You can use my shovel. You can use my this or that. I'll give you some seeds. I'll give you whatever the case may be. I just need a portion of the crops when they come up. Whatever you generate, I just want a portion of it. Or I'll give you a portion of it if you're doing it for me and blah, 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 blah. And when that time came, they would say, okay, well, I had to charge you for that shovel that you borrowed. Oh, my bad. Oh, you needed some feed to feed the animals with. Okay, I charged you for that. Remember, I fronted you that soil. I fronted you that. I got to get that back. And by the time they finish with you, you owe them. Don't that sound familiar? If you're an artist, that's what they do in the record business. They say, oh yeah, cool. We'll use our studio. We'll put you in studio. Yeah, we'll shoot you. We'll do your video. Yeah, you got that. You on our label. You got that. Then when it's time to get paid, that video was that budget there hit for about 200,000 right there. Oh yeah, we produced the album. You know, that was the studio cost. That's about 100,000 right there. Remember, you wanted to get Drake on that song. Drake costed us 100,000. Got to get that back. And but before you know it, you haven't made any money or you owe them. But in the streaming game right now, they just getting it off the top. They get it off the muscle. They get it off the muscle. We're talking about scheming on the streaming right here, man. Scheming on the streaming. You see the comparisons between how they have always dealt with us throughout history all the way to now. So in our mind, we feel like, well, we free, man. What we doing? And even artists that you look at that you say, okay, yeah, you doing all right, you making some money. You can look at a bunch of artists and see where they making some decent money. You see them on TV, you see them on the show, you see them at the war. They doing all right. But If we satisfy our minds with being content with doing all right, bro, it don't matter. Again, if you hit the lottery and you seen all this time, man, the lottery was 100 million, and you hit that 100 million, however you hit it, how would you feel if they tell you, well, man, yeah, you hit it, but we're going to only give you 10 million. So somebody say, well, man, $10 million, that's a lot of money, but they owe you 90 more. What about that other 90 that they owe you? We be too content. Well, I ain't gonna lie, I take that 10. Yeah, you'll take that 10. But why don't that 90 bother you? Miles Amena said, De La Soul taught me about the evils of ownership. Yeah, I did a video on De La Soul a couple of months back because they just gained ownership of their masters because of that 30-year rule that they got in the industry now, where after 30 years, 35 years, an artist is entitled to gain ownership of their masters. But that's still dirty. I got to wait 30 to 35 years to be given ownership of something that I created that's mine anyway, or that should be mine anyway. So you happy that they got it, but they'll give it to you a lot of times when the life have already been sucked out of it. Anita Baker just went through the same thing. She just regained ownership of her masters. Now, the beautiful thing about certain artists is that the shelf life of their music is eternal. So people will always rock with Anita Baker. People will always rock with De La Soul. They're going to always get some action. But at the time when the music was at its hottest, somebody else benefited from that. So what has to happen once Anita Baker gets ownership of her music back, what has to happen once De La Soul gets ownership of their music back, what we have to do, we have to go in mass forces and go out and buy that stuff over again like it's brand new so they can make all their money. That's how they got to go. We got to say, oh, Anita got her masters back. Everybody need to go buy a copy of that album. Make her go platinum all over again like she did back in 1986 and put her back and put her in that money where all that money is hers. Do all the downloading, not necessarily the streaming, the downloading. I just broke down the chart. The downloading, that's a sale. That's an actual sale of an album. The physical copy is a sale of the album. The streaming, they ain't getting much. So start them all over. Start that process all over for them. And that's what will really help them. Because they still get some shows. But man, it's tough, man. 30 years to get your masters back. You done drained all the life out your masters. You get a brand new house. Then they say, well, you can't live in this house for 30 years. In 30 years, you'll own this house. By the time you get the house, man, the foundation messed up. All of the insides, they've got holes in the wall. The central heat and air, it's raggedy now. The air don't work. So now you got to do so much work to repair and rebuild the house. An artist is trying to now do so much work to repair and rebuild their career, not from an artistic standpoint, trying to rebuild from a business and revenue standpoint, because the unfortunate part of this is that we all just learning. Man, I've been doing this 40 years. And it's new stuff that I'm just starting to learn. Like, wow. So I got to put myself right back in class, right back in the field of study again, just to try to keep up. It's good to have young people around you that understand this stuff. I got some people around me that say, "No, OG, let me show you." No, I mean, you could do it like that, but I'm gonna show you an easier way. And I'm like, all right. Gotta bow down. Gotta bow down. Nip say that video was 100 racks. Yeah. Think about that, man. So Universal, Sony, and Warner Music Group, that's only 3. It's a bunch of major labels out there, man. That's capitalizing off of this. We're in a tough position, man. We're in a tough position. Y'all drop y'all locations for your big brother, man. I need to know where y'all at. Drop them locations. Drop your location. Send me your location, and I don't know the rest of the words. Let me know where y'all at, man. Your big brother, I will be in Dallas tomorrow, man. I'll be in Dallas. I'll be in and out. So any of my people that's in Dallas, Fort Worth area, y'all want to get at me. Y'all want to work. Y'all want to put me in the lab. Just have your chips correct. We'll work on something. I'll show up. I'll show up and flow up. Drop y'all locations, man, so I can shout y'all out. I see my brother in there from Denver, Sacramento, New York, San Diego. We bing binging. We all over the place. Bing, bing, bing. Bing, bing just mean, this the map. And I got people over here. Bing, 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 bing. We all over the place. Galveston County, H-Town. What's up, Brina? Aquafina? I love when she come in the chat. I'd say come play New York City, but I wouldn't be able to get in. Why you wouldn't be able to get in? Durham, North Carolina. I know Nip is in the psych ward. Champion City, Tampa, Florida. Y'all got y'all work cut out next week, L-Dub. The Rams is coming. The Rams got that defensive line, boy. Australia. Miles a minute in this piece from Australia. Patrick Tate, what's that? Variant. Oh, okay. They're doing it like that. Yeah, they got the mandates in New York. I got you. See, we're gonna work around all that stuff. We're gonna figure out a way, because there's so many places, man, that want to see us, man. They want to see Nip. They want to see Klondike Cat. They want to see Point Blank. They want to see us, and we got to figure out a way to make that happen and work around all this other satanic stuff that they got going on, man. All this satanic crap that they got going on. We got to figure out a way to still get to our people, the people that rock with us, the people that got love for us. And I don't always want to try to ask people to come all the way to Houston. But a few people have done it. We've done many shows, man. A lot of our shows, Nip will tell you, we do a lot of our shows, and we do our big shows. It be people coming down from everywhere, not just within the state of Texas. People come from, shout out to my boy Jay Keezy, Jordan King in Alabama. We got people that came from, I just did a show a few months ago. My buddy K-Top came all the way from Milwaukee. People be coming from overseas and different cities and states, man. It would pick. I do features all the time, man. I do features all the time. Just got to make sure that your budget is in order. That's my email address. Serious inquiries only. You want to mess with me? Hit your big brother up. Omaha, Nebraska's in the building. What's up, Lynn Lee? Crown King out there in Durham. We got to regain control, y'all. We got to regain control of our work. And one thing I got to make y'all understand, and I ain't just talking about music right now. Whatever it is that you do, that you're trying to do, you establish yourself as a business owner, whatever your product is, don't underestimate the perpetual value of your work. Don't let what you do put you in a mind frame where it's just something I'm doing. It probably ain't gonna, you don't know what it's gonna do. That's why your ownership has to be on point, because you never know what you'll come up with that somebody may see extreme value in it and decide that they want a piece of it or they want to get involved in it. And you either let them take it from you or you don't push hard enough to put it out there, or you do put it out there and you just feel like it's just going to be lightweight, so I don't really handle my business on the front end like I should. Man, you don't know what you do. You don't know what it's going to do. You don't underestimate yourself. We learned that from the music business, man. Some of the stuff we do and we've done 20, 15, 25, 30 years, man, that stuff comes back. Point Blank did a song in 1992 that ended up being used in a movie that came out about 4 or 5 years ago, a real movie, legit movie in theaters. And because he had his publishing on point, that rolled back to him. Make a difference. You don't know what. You don't know when. Somebody hears something you did just messing around and say, that'll be perfect. See? I don't care if you got a cookie recipe. I don't care what it is, man. Again, to correct myself, I said 35,000 on a million streams earlier. That was a mistake. I meant to say 3,500. So I don't want y'all to, anybody that may come back and watch this whole video and say, what are you talking? Nah, I made a mistake in my on that number. And I appreciate y'all for letting me know. Let me know. Because what thing we don't want to do when we get on here, when I come up on here, man, I come up on here to try to drop some truth and facts on y'all to the best of my ability, man. So I don't want to be putting y'all out here and y'all go somewhere and quote me, and I done told y'all something wrong. Now everybody walking around with their drawers around their ankles looking crazy. We ain't going out like that. Yeah, man, I'll be in the great city of Dallas, Texas tomorrow. Nip, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it, Nip. All I'm gonna say, psych. All I'm gonna say is, I watched the game last week. I watched the game last week, psych. That's all I'm gonna say, man. But I will be in Dallas tomorrow, man. But I'm in and out. So the window of time, if anybody want to holler at me, y'all, my email is on there. It'll have to be tomorrow, because Saturday I got work to do. Much love. Angelina says that's like going to the used car dealerships. The time you actually own the title, the car is falling apart. Man, that's a beautiful analogy. Yeah. It take you so long to pay it off. By the time you own it, it ain't the same, man. It's not the same. I vibe. What's up, my brother Marcus? Brother Marcus in the building, man. Shout out to all my brothers, my Hebrew Israelite family, everybody, man. We got to have foresight. Y'all got to understand what foresight is. That is being able to look down the line of time in the future to get a gauge on what things will or may be. We can't just live in the moment. Knockout Media, let me know about that interview. You trying to do an interview with me down the road by NRG? Let's do it. You got my email address? I'll put it up again for the congregation. I'm finna get ready to get out, man. Send me an email. Let's set it up, man. Ain't nothing but love. Y'all be safe, man. It's your big brother K-Rino. I'll catch y'all later, man. Love you, Sight. Peace.